On March 17th, George Bush is coming to Calgary. George W. Bush is coming to town on March 17th, sharing their thoughts about George W. Bush. George Bush is coming to town March 17th.
Was we a fan of him to begin with?
Instead of sending the RCMP to meet him at the airport, the Calgary Chamber of Commerce has invited him downtown for a chat.
I've read in numerous articles people wanting to charge him with war crimes, perhaps even ban him from coming to Canada because of suspected war crimes and such like that, and I don't agree with that, actually.
Did you ever investigate Dan Rather for using forged documents on TV to try to slander the president?
When it comes to George Bush, I really don't care about him.
You're walking along Stephen Avenue Mall. You see some filthy hippies protesting. How do you defend yourself?
They're attacking me? What are they protesting?
No blood for oil. Do you pepper spray them?
Freedom of speech, go hard.
I wouldn't want to hear his opinion about what he did.
For 6 years, the Canadian public sent me overseas to track down war criminals and try to put them in jail and get evidence against them, and we're inviting one to Canada right now.
The Shoe Cannon will launch shoes at a target of Bush, life-size preferably.
I don't know anybody who would pay $400 to go and hear him speak.
I don't see him very much as a figurehead, but more of a Ronald McDonald for the United States.
How does a shoe cannon actually work?
Well, the police were rather interested in that.
Laying landmines all the way up and down the street. Come down here to protest, boom, goodbye protesters. I'm talking vaporized, all right?
You know the expression, keep your friends close and your enemies closer? I wouldn't want to just ask him a question. I'd want to hang out with him a lot.
I think if we're going to talk about terrorism, we need to talk about Bush and what he's done.
I think he's a good advisor for the world. Maybe he can do something about the oil sands. Maybe he'll put a good positive feedback.
I would be protesting because he is a puppet. He's been publicly ridiculed enough about his personal character.
I've had friends of mine die overseas to keep these guys from doing what this guy has done.
With George Bush's March 17th lecture closed to the media, there's been speculation someone in the audience might try smuggling a camera. Dr. Blue, you're our expert in all things technical. What do you think the possibility is that something like this will occur?
Well, Gord, I think we're all familiar with the larger scale film cameras, such as the IMAX 3D, which weighs in at approximately 250 pounds. But due to the advancements in modern technology, you can get cameras that fit on camera operators' shoulders.
So if someone to get one of these newfangled cameras, walk that into the lecture and record the event there?
Technically feasible, yes.
What's that you got there?
Oh, it's an iPhone. You use it to Twitter. Twitter's awesome. Check this out. See, look, I'm twittering right now on the escalator.
So is that a lens on the back?
Hey, yeah, this is like a little teeny tiny camera. You can record the whole lecture straight from here. Check it out. I'm Steven Spielberg. Say, I think we're gonna need a bigger boat.
We don't allow filming in our building.
It's a historic event to have his first post-administration speaking event. If I could afford it, I'd probably go just because it's, you know, for shits and giggles. The reason he came to Calgary is because it's a really friendly city for him. You know, Calgary likes their cowboys, they like their oil, they like their businessmen. It's a very conservative city, pretty safe place to come.
You know, I wouldn't pay $4, let alone $400. Don't really care for him. I thought he did a terrible job in his office. I have no use for him to be here in Canada or particularly in Calgary.
He is unwelcome here, and if he's unwelome here in the heartland of oil and corporatism, then he's certainly going to be unwelcome in most of the other places around the world. And we're creating a case here. He will face the threat of prosecution in every country he lands in. So I doubt he'll have much success anywhere else.
He's expecting that he'll have the warmest reception here out of a lot of other cities because we have a reputation for being conservative. It's a springing board, so if he speaks here, he might go to other places. He's not welcome here, and him speaking all over the world about the great things he has done is really hypocritical.
Nobody in Canada likes him. Nobody in the States likes him. If he's not coming to meet the people, if you're not going to allow the media to come, what's the point in coming? The Bush administration basically wanted to go to war. They had their excuse and didn't care what anyone else said. They were going to war, hands down.
A reading for New Times magazine. My name's Bill, and I come from Dallas, Texas.
You don't think Karl Rove or Dick Cheney might be guilty of treason for releasing the CIA operative's identity?
Someone else brought it out. He just tried to correct a story that a news reporter, such as yourself, was going to put out falsely. That is not releasing, and she really wasn't even a covert agent. If she was, they would have been prosecuted. She didn't qualify.
You think so?
She didn't qualify as a covert agent, so there was no crime. Thank you. Have a good day.
You too.
We're kind of here where people are preparing to put up banners to protest Bush's appearance in Calgary.
You know, I mean, where's he going to run? He's managed to make so many people angry with him, you know, for, I'm sorry to say it, totally sucking as a president.
Would you characterize him as a war criminal? Would you go that far, not go that far?
Certainly I would. Invading Iraq when it wasn't even part of the package, you know. Now that we've invaded Afghanistan, it's okay to invade anywhere else we want to go.
He could have said, no, I don't want to be president. No, I won't violate people's civil liberties. He has to be held accountable for his own decisions. The rest of us are. Why isn't he?
I'm going to go to the protest. I think it's going to be funny. I hope they get a glimpse of the guy and see maybe if he's still got that funny smirk on his face. But
Do you think it is effective to protest Bush when there's been such large protests in the past while he was still president?
oh, of course. I mean, that just gets to the root of... We had the biggest protests against the Iraq war. He kind of ignored it. He'll dismiss it in his mind, and his aides are going to be like, you know what, don't worry about it, George. It's all good. The fact that there is so much criticism has gotten to him. He's only got, what is 25, 30% or something ridiculously low approval rating.
He's got a higher approval rating than Rush Limbaugh.
Yeah. Oh, Rush, don't get me started on him. Even if George doesn't listen, other people are going to see and listen.
While he was president, there was millions of people protesting in like New York and in Europe to protest the Iraq invasion. When he was president, he called the protests a focus group. Do you think it can have much of an impact at this point in time?
The group of people that is asking for an end to impunity or to hold him to account is going to be smaller than the number of people that will protest the current sitting president. There's been evil well before him, and there will be evil to continue. But we need to create a just, an equitable, and a sustainable society, and that's what this is about. There's people coming from all over the country and from the States for this. So anything's possible.
Say you're walking along Stephen Avenue Mall, you see some filthy hippies protesting. How would you defend yourself against these guys?
They're attacking me?
They're protesting.
Why are they You can protest without attacking me. I don't understand.
Okay, so you wouldn't pepper spray them?
No, like, I'd be like, cool, freedom of speech, go hard.
What constitutes a legal or illegal protest?
We are in communication with the police, and they know exactly what's going on, and we've been in constant communication with them. And it will be, as far as we're concerned, a peaceful protest, a non-violent demonstration.
I'm here with a security expert, Billy Bob. So what's your thoughts on the TELUS Convention Center security?
You know what you get when protesters come up against concrete, okay? You get...
what are you doing? What?
Yeah.
You're not supposed to take this building tour. Video.
We're on the street.
Take what? Yeah, this is the property of our.
You own the public street?
This is.
The public street's your property?
No, it's because 50 feet away from this. 50 feet.
So is that the middle of the street is okay then, or?
You're not supposed to take this building's tour.
So we can't tape anywhere along 8th Ave?
You can go over there, yeah, but not this building. I'm asking you can take a video from maybe whole Calgary, but not this building.
All right, let's get it from further away.
Are you going to be out there protesting with the rest of them?
No, absolutely not. And with the rest of them, I don't like that statement. It's a good idea that George Bush is coming to Calgary. A lot of people have said in numerous articles and on blogs and such, he should be charged with war crimes, should be banned from coming to Canada under suspected war crimes, and I don't agree with that at all. There's 100,000 Americans living in Calgary, and that's a huge invested interest. Alberta's booming economy, Canada's economy, thrives off the United States. I would absolutely attend.
When it comes to George Bush, I really don't care about him, but I was so happy that the new president of Obama is much more I'm into it, but George Bush is more into war. That's okay if he comes to town and he comes to town.
If someone gave you a ticket, would you go to the event?
I'm not interested to go.
Would you be interested in attending if you could?
If I had the money and all that.
Or what do you like about him?
I think he's a good advisor for the world. Maybe he can do something about the oil sands. Maybe he'll put a good positive feedback.
Do you think his 8 years in office were a good thing?
I think so, yeah. I mean, showed the world what he can do and all that, so yeah.
Are political discussions only for wealthy people or only for people that have power and status?
I probably won't be able to afford it. Catch it on the news. I think it's great. I'm sure he's got a lot of interesting things to say, so I'd be interested to hear the results of his speech.
So long as telesecurity isn't taking everyone's iPhones and cell phones, and there could be dozens of people recording the event.
Did you just say take away my cell phone?
Well, that's the only way they could control the media.
Do you even suggest taking away someone's iPhone and Steve Jobs comes in and gets all turtleneck sweater on your ass? I mean, look how small this thing is. I can just put it in my pocket and hide it. Camera? What camera? There's no camera here.
The only complication is that they've got cameras all over the place. They're watching everything that we do.
Are they?
Yeah, there's cameras all over the place. There's one there, there's one there.
Oh yeah, I put those in.
No, these are telesecurity cameras. Remember all the monitors at the security desk? They can see us right now. Hey guys, how's it going?
Gord! Oh, I've had these here for weeks. You just come and knock them all down? Get your own security cameras.
Basically, I'm getting involved with this thing, probably the first activist thing I've ever done in ever, because I was in the Canadian Army. I was an infantryman in Yugoslavia and Rwanda, Cyprus, a couple other places. For 6 years, the Canadian public sent me overseas to track down war criminals and try to put them in jail and get evidence against them, and we're fighting one to Canada right now. There was a time when the Canadian people used to send me overseas to hopefully mitigate suffering and track down war criminals, and recently that's changed, and I don't know why. Under OPCAT, we've actually signed a treaty creating our own laws here in Canada that puts war criminals in our jurisdiction on trial. There's no gray area in there. Maxwell Novak, head investigator for the UN Commission on Torture, has stated that there's concrete proof that Roberto Gonzalez changed the meaning of torture. That's counseling torture. George Bush was a superior. On the 17th of this month, 2009, we have a war criminal under Canadian jurisdiction convicted by an international court and potentially convicted by our own court. The problem here is, instead of sending the RCMP to meet him at the airport, the Calgary Chamber of Commerce has invited him downtown for a chat.
Why anybody in Calgary would be interested in going to hear him speak is beyond me.
I personally don't care about George Bush.
So you wouldn't pay to go see him?
Not George Bush. Of course not.
One has to wonder why. Why on earth you would pay money to see a war criminal? Is anybody going to pay $400 for Bashir of Sudan?
I'm here now with Hans Gribble, a spectrologist, and he's going to illustrate a security concern using an infrared beam and an infrared camera.
Attending this luncheon, there will be many VIPs who wish to remain anonymous. I will allow you to see through these tinted windows as if they were not even there. Infrared beams shining right now.
So what's fascinating here is I have an infrared camera with me, and I can see that it's on. I can see the points of light.
Yes, that is correct. That is how it functions. It is protecting an invisible beam.
You shine the infrared light one way, and I'm recording the infrared light the other way.
Let us test. Oh, hello, Whip. I see you. We see you.
Billy Bob.
Hello, Billy Bob.
I can see right through the window with the camera. So clearly, if people's privacy can't be protected with tinted windows, what sort of alternatives are there?
Cover your face with your hands. Hans Gribble.
That is the only way.
Oh, wait. There may be one other way. It would be a brown, how you say, sack over their head.
Thank you. You are certainly the most knowledgeable spectrologist I've ever spoken to.
Oh yes, of course, that's me.
You get into an elevator, all these SS people, or not SS, no. you're in an elevator, all these Secret Service pile in, and there he is, and he's like, hey, how you doing?
Hey George, nice to meet you. I think that's all I would say. I don't think it would be worth it, in my opinion, to, give him a rant.
You wouldn't try to slap some cuffs on him? Citizen's arrest? And then, of course, you'd be wrestling with the Secret Service at that point.
I would just get myself in trouble, and it wouldn't get anywhere. I think, well, maybe I'd throw a shoe at him.
We have to send a clear message to the people that come after him and the people that came before him. You cannot continue to be a war criminal and do absolutely anything you like to do with impunity. You will be held to account. No matter what country you go into now, you will face the threat of arrest for crimes. And not just him, but everybody else in his administration as well.
Personally, I'm not expecting to see any blockade of the speaker or anything like that.
Plenty of room for people to gather out front and protest or whatever they want to do.
Okay, you see that vehicle that just pulled up? Okay, don't make eye contact with the driver. Okay, he's not working for the city, my friend. He is laying landmines all the way up and down the street. Come down here to protest. Boom. Goodbye, protesters. I'm talking vaporized, all right?
TELUS Convention Security wouldn't speak to us. Maybe you could shed some light on what kind of security a building like this affords President Bush.
This building, come on over here. This is solid concrete, okay? Solid concrete. I mean, come on. You know what happens when a protester comes up against solid concrete? The concrete always wins.
I would love to know how he feels about the media and their scrutiny on his personal and as well as public life.
What would he have done differently?
Does he really feel that going into Iraq looking for weapons of mass destruction did anything more than just kill a bunch of innocent people?
What, in his eyes, is his biggest mistake you think he made?
Questions you'd toss his way?
No, because I don't expect him to be able to answer any of them. If I can't put food on my children and have the OBGYNs practice their love on me, why would I be able to ask him a question that I think that he'd be able to figure out?
If it was his war he was fighting or his dad's?
You know, the biggest question, of course, is why. We all know why. It's about the banality of evil.
They're gonna look like a bunch of damn fools. We're gonna build a moat right around this sucker. Nobody gets in, and nobody gets out.
Okay, but when you say we, you're not actually one of the TELUS Convention Center security.
He's with the movement, son.
You're just an independent. They wouldn't speak to us, so what do you mean by that?
When I say we, the World Brotherhood of Security Experts Alliance.
Would you guys say that George Bush is a war criminal? I'm just wondering if anyone has a dissenting view here.
I know someone who honestly believes that George Bush did the right thing. He believes that Canada should have something like the Patriot Act because that's the only way to protect us from the terrorists.
Our Justice Department, their job is to arrest and incarcerate war criminals, to try them when they are on Canadian soil. There is serious consideration of him being a war criminal, and so they have a duty to perform there. So it's a matter of them bringing him to trial.
You say it's the Canadian government's job to do this?
Canada has an obligation under the ICC, under the International Criminal Court, and under the Geneva Conventions to try war criminals when they come to Canada, when they land on Canadian soil. It is their obligation and their duty to do that, and it's only a matter of us getting them to perform that duty. It's a stretch for Canada to uphold that, especially with the US president, but it is still within their mandate.
I'm a pretty quiet guy, actually. I don't get involved in things, but this is deplorable. You know, I've had friends of mine die overseas to keep these guys from doing what this guy has done. So that's all I got to say about that.
I've been a security expert for over a year now. It's not hard. I did a search and I put some bids in on the word security on Google AdWords. And a couple months later, when I was more seasoned, I went back and I put in another bid on the word expert.